It's 1 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome. This session is Perennial Partners, adding depth and texture to dahlia arrangements. I'm Liz Cardella. I'm the owner-grower at Collie Flower Farm, and this is my 14th season of growing cut flowers to sell to florists and designers. I have a background as a union carpenter. I worked for over 25 years with Pepper Construction. I have a lot of pictures to show, so I'll just start talking, and then we'll go through the pictures once we get things going. So I was saying that I do have a background as carpenter, and I just love making things. I've always enjoyed gardening. I have a small family, my husband and daughter, and so I really didn't get into vegetables. All that work and nobody really was helping me out there, and nobody was really eating the vegetables either. So once I discovered flowers, boy, that was all it took. Something I do love about gardening is you're always learning something new. This year we had a really challenging weather in the Midwest. It was very warm early, it was very dry. When we had rain, it was a deluge. So it was kind of a challenging year for growing dahlias. I joined the ASCFG, which is the Association of Specialty Cut Flower Growers, and these are groups of farmers and small growers across the United States and Canada, and we're hoping to fill that need for florists and designers that they are getting from flowers overseas. If you've heard of the slow food movement, this is called the slow flower movement. We're trying to cut that carbon imprint of having so many flowers come from overseas, the shipping, the packaging, the chemicals that are used, just to get them in through customs, they have to be drenched in pesticides, one bug, and that whole shipment goes back. So I think growing things locally is the way to go. We can't grow everything all year round because of our seasons, but we can make a good dent. I also joined the Central States Dahlia Society. They're a great group. I really learned so much about dahlias, and as my interest grew, so did my farm.
I'll try this one.
I'm in Woodstock, Illinois, so I joke that I've got dual citizenship with Wisconsin and Illinois because we're so close.
If you use the mouse and press this one, it's moving.
All right. Thank you. What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, there, okay. All right. Long time ago. I had a friend who had a CSA organic vegetable farm, and she and her husband became my mentors. Even though I loved gardening and knew a lot about growing flowers, I did not know about growing in such mass quantities. And so he had a tractor and came over and started plowing everything up. And a couple years later, I got my own tractor, which I love.
Got this. Use the up to there.
What?
Use the arrow of this.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. So as I was saying, as my interest grew, so did the farm. This is what our property looked like when we moved in. And this was the first few years. You could see I have 2 hoop houses that I built. And this is the current layout. So as you can see on the left side of the screen, that had all been trees. It's been a several year project. I used to rent property nearby, and when that land was sold, I started to think, where can I plant on my own property? So that took a while, but I'm really thrilled with the way it's turned out. I have also a lot of slopes on my property, which you can't see. So I feel like my farm is not a typical farm in that it's not a lot of flat, open areas, but I'm trying to make use of every square inch that I can. And I think all gardeners can relate to that, especially in January where you start getting all those wonderful catalogs, and you think, boy, if I were to order everything that I loved in these catalogs, you wouldn't have any grass left. My husband is still hoping that I'll get rid of all the grass. This is one of the hoop houses. This is a heated hoop house. This is where I do a lot of the seed starting. And then I really enjoy that. You can see I have crates. Something new I've tried this year because of one of my mentors at the club here. I got some tubers that I wasn't sure about from my wholesaler. We've talked a lot about disease and how we're seeing more gall creep into the tubers that we're purchasing. So I thought, well, what can I do to still grow them out, but kind of see them, set them separate? So you can see I have crates here, and what I do is I fill those with the soil, and then I put the crate tubers in there, and my friend was saying they call those pot tubers. So I'll just let them grow, make some tubers, and then hopefully in the spring, those will be the first ones that I plant out. I was a little late this year, and that has bit me in the butt all season. So next year, God is my witness, end of May, they are going in come hell or high water. Yeah, high water, that's what I was worried about this year. I'm also a crazy person in that when I built my second hoop house, I really wanted it. It was unheated, and the place to put it was right where I was growing dahlias at the time. So the crazy part was I built this while the dahlias were growing. My husband and I took a huge ladder that was 12 feet tall, and we scooched it down the aisles so I could climb up and connect all the hoops together. And then I had a few friends help me with the plastic. I don't grow dahlias in there anymore. I find that in the hoop house they are protected, but they are kind of wimpy. They're not as strong. They don't make as many tubers as the ones I grow outside. So I tend to just grow them outside and not in the hoop house anymore. This is another project I worked on. This is trellises. And of course, the glamour. That is what I'm in this for. This is a picture of our mosquito defense. We have 3 codes for our mosquito defense. The first code is the hat with the netting. And I have something called a thermocell, which hooks onto your belt. It has a little liquid, it has a pad, and it makes a zone of protection from the mosquitoes. Now, when we have to go nuclear, that's when I put on the bug baffler suit. So it's pants and suit and hood all made out of mosquito netting. And then you can see in the foreground there, that is what I call the mighty wind. It may not be environmentally friendly to run an electric fan, but on a windy day, you do not get bothered by mosquitoes. So if it's really bad, the mighty wind comes out. I started out on my flower journey, and I did farmers markets, which was a lot of fun. Then when COVID happened, I decided I didn't really want to be out in the public, and I decided to focus more on florists and designers, clients that I had developed while I was doing the farmers market. A lot of flowers. I also had garden clubs that would come out for a tour, and we'd do a flower arranging session, which was a lot of fun. There's my tractor. Men get the sports car for the midlife crisis. I got the tractor. My carpentry skills have really helped a lot. I've built 2 walk-in coolers as well as the 2 hoop houses that I have. I love making things, as I said, and if it can serve a dual purpose, that really gets me excited. So I've built things like racks on wheels that I can use to harden off my seedlings. And then in the winter, I can use them for storage. So it's awesome. I like to put wheels on everything. As I was doing the farmers markets and working with florists, I noticed that different clients, different markets are looking for different things in dahlias. So I'd say there's maybe 3 general groups. So you start out with the newbie gardeners, okay? They're maybe just bought a place, they've got a little spot, they can put a little garden in, they start with the tomatoes, maybe they come to the dahlia show. Wow, what are those flowers? I've got to grow those. Big as your head, who can resist? A little later on, they become competitive growers, which I think covers everyone in this room. You went from liking some beautiful flowers to looking for something that's a reliable winner, something that's got a proven track record, or really a showstopper. Then there's the farmers market people. These are people that maybe they don't have room for a garden. Maybe they have an apartment, little balcony, come out to the farmers market to have some fun, get some fresh vegetables, and of course, they're tempted by the beautiful flowers. And they're looking for bright colors, I find, generally. When I did markets, I would try to plan my seed schedule that I would have pastels in the spring, strong bright colors in the summer, and then get those really gorgeous jewel colors in the fall, all the oranges and the rusts and the deep purples. But I found people still wanted pastels. So I think there's always going to be a call for pinks and purples, and but I really love the seasonality of dahlias. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about, groups, is florists and designers. Now they have very different needs. Let's see, I'll go ahead a little bit. This is one of the collies of Collie Flower Farm. This was Sydney, and she was amazing. She would always come running when I would scream when a snake would suddenly jump out at me, and she protected me. And she also loved to ride in the golf cart. More dahlias. At one time, I did do the organza bag method for bugs, but when you start growing lots and lots of plants, it's hard to keep up with that. It's hard to see how mature the flower is when it's in the bag. So I have to say, I spray. It's the only crop that I spray. I think that dahlias are just too delicious to too many bugs. So it is a struggle. I know you guys all can back me up on that. So what are florists looking for? Florists do a lot of different things. They do funerals, parties, special events, and of course the big one, weddings. So they are generally not looking for the brighter colors. They're looking for a lot of pastels. The Cafe au Lait dahlia is, I think, still the #1 wedding dahlia. It's such a beautiful flower. It's a perfect size, that creaminess to it, and it does tend to have a little bit of a hint of a blush or a little bit of a peach, which also just makes it even prettier. Even at the end of the season, when they start to swirl and don't look like they're really supposed to, they're still beautiful, and people still love them. One of my best florist customers, Twisted Stem in Crystal Lake. John Reagan is a nationally renowned designer, and he told me what he looks for are color saturation and drama. And he was nice enough to let me bring some of his pictures. There's that Cafe au Lait. It's really interesting, I think, the things he uses with the dahlias. He's got hydrangeas in there, he's got black-tipped wheat, and orchids. And he also loves berries, and I do too. Okay, let's go back. Back one. Okay. Now, florists can order just about any material from across the globe. Peonies are a great example. If a bride has to have them, peonies can be ordered after our season is done from Alaska, Israel, and New Zealand. That makes them available almost year-round. Of course, you are going to pay a premium price for that flower. Now, I'm sure in New Zealand and Australia, they can grow amazing dahlias during our winter months when we can only dream about them. But unfortunately, dahlias do not ship well the way peonies do. So I think that their seasonality and their brief life makes them all more special and anticipated. Florists respond to demands, and brides want dahlias in a big way. Pinterest and gardening influencers have increased interest and demand. One of the biggest influencers is Erin Benzicane of Floret Farms. She's like the Martha Stewart of flower farmers. She writes amazing books. If you don't have this one, go and get it. It is like Dahlia pornography. It is so beautifully photographed that you will want every dahlia that's pictured in there. So influencers like Erin are great in that it introduces the dahlia to more people. It creates a real love of dahlias. It also can do some bad things. Dahlias have gotten very expensive. Tubers have really risen in price. And how many of you have looked for a certain dahlia that's a unicorn that are very difficult to find now? That's another reason I think it's great to belong to a dahlia club. You can get information on the newest varieties coming out, and there's some trading going on, which is always nice, and everyone usually has a sale, and maybe you can get that unicorn just from somebody local. I've grown dahlias for the last 12 years, and they're a lot of work, and you guys all know that. But they're also worth it. They're a fascinating flower with so many shapes, sizes, and colors. And I think we all agree that the dahlia is the queen among flowers and always deserves center stage. Dahlias are gorgeous and intriguing for their many forms and colors, but I'd like to talk about a supporting cast that will really highlight their beauty. In the last few years, I've become very interested in woody ornamentals. It's kind of a catch-all phrase covering shrubs, trees, and vines that can be used for foliage, flowers, or berries. So I've got a list, but it's a small list of my current favorites. It's by no means an exhaustive list, and I'm sure that there are many amazing perennials hiding in plain sight in your yard or landscape that would make an interesting complement to our beloved dahlias. I've brought some with me today. So we've got Artemisia, which has a wonderful silvery leaf. It's always also very fragrant. Beautyberry is great for the purple berries. The leaves wilt, so you have to pull all those leaves off. I brought some Caryopteris, which is a more unusual shrub. It has silvery green leaves, which are fragrant, blue flowers, and right now they're starting to make their pods. Curly willow is great, comes in green, yellow, and red. Also dogwood, Red and yellow twigs are great. You'd want to strip those leaves off. Hydrangeas, also wonderful. The Botanic Gardens has some gorgeous hydrangeas out there. This year mine turned really red, and I noticed theirs are very red too. I'm sure that must be weather related, but gorgeous. Hypericum, St. John's wort. That makes lovely berries too, and you can get different varieties in different colors. And I even use Japanese maples, which also come in lots of great colors. Nine bark, that is a great shrub. I love the purple and more copper varieties. Also comes in like a limey green. Porcelain berry vine. It can be invasive, but it's a beautiful vine and it has blue berries, which are really unique. Pussy willows, I brought those. These I harvested in the spring and I dried them. No reason you can't use them all year round. One of my favorites is smokebush. There's nothing like that purple foliage, and it has the little rounded leaves, very attractive in fall. Spirea, that's great in spring with the foliage, flowers, but the foliage is great all year. And viburnum also, great foliage, and some of them do make fall berries as well. So I think the thing is you're looking for interesting leaves, different textures, different shapes, different shades of green, anything that has little buds to it like a Japanese maple, not Japanese maple, Japanese anemone or berries, anything to give your arrangement a little bit of sparkle. Here's some flowers, so asters. Delphiniums make a great vertical accent. Feverfew, I won't call it a filler, it's more of a texture flower. Grasses, the Japanese anemone that I mentioned. And then penstemon. I like the flowers, but they don't last in the vase, so I really grow it for the pods afterwards, which are burgundy, just look great in the fall. Sea oats, sedum, and yarrow are also great. So I've got a few pictures. This is a viburnum with some red berries. Artemisia. This is Silver King. I also have Powys Castle, which doesn't seem to hold up very well. But the Silver King is great, very silvery, very fragrant. I brought that today too. Here's the Caryopteris in the blue flower stage. Feverfew. And this is Sydney. Not Sydney, this is Grommet, sorry. These are our latest two collies, Wallace and Grommet. So I have also planted thornless raspberries, and I originally planted them to sell to florists. They like the foliage, they like the immature berries, and then I figured if I didn't get them picked in time, got great berries to eat, so it's a win-win. Grommet is interested too. Delphinium, asters, yarrow, winterberry. Winterberry is starting to get red already. That would be a great berry to include with your reds and hot colors. You'd want to take the leaves off. I like to sell those a little bit later, so I don't use those right away with the dahlias. Sea oats is a pretty grass. It's great green. It's great as it dries and gets more beige looking. This is beautyberry. This is a really interesting plant.
Does it keep its color?
It does. This is what it looks like when you take all the berries, all the leaves off. Because the leaves do wilt. So it's just kind of, it's hard to see. So I wouldn't use it like in a big giant arrangement because it would sort of disappear. But it's one of those little sparkle things that are interesting, and the color, that purple color is really pretty.
It comes in white too.
It does. Grasses, a lot of different grasses are interesting. And with that tousled top, it kind of gives the arrangement some movement. Our dahlias are really massive. You know, they're more rounded shape. They need something to balance that, make them look a little less heavy, I think. And bittersweet. This is one of the 9 barks that I have. I think this is El Diablo, which is a dark purple. This is Little Devil, which is also a purple and also a 9 bark, but it has much tinier leaves. Flowering quince. These are thornless. Regular quince do have thorns, so the flowering quince are better to use. You want to be careful with those because they do make their blooms on old wood. So you want to leave some of your older stems to make flowers for the following year. And Japanese maple. This is the porcelain berry vine. I have a variegated form. It's not the best picture, but you could see a little bit of the color on the berries. It's really like a royal blue. Very different. Hypericum comes in a lot of different colors for the berries. And Japanese maple, not maple, I always say that, Japanese anemone. What I like about these is the flowers are pretty, but they don't last that long. But they have these cutest little buds that just stand up tall above your arrangement, and just, they're cute. I like them. These are those penstemon pods. Perfect color for fall. And the thornless raspberry, Joan Jett. And they are very prolific. I cannot keep up with all the berries, which is a great problem to have. And this is Wallace. And he is in my hydrangea area. So they got quite red this year. I cannot grow the mop head type hydrangeas that you see, the big blue ones. Those type of hydrangeas bloom on old wood. And here in Zone 5, we get those late frosts, and there goes your flowers. So I tend to stick with the paniculata. Those bloom on new wood, and the great thing about them is you can cut them almost to the ground every spring. You'll get nice long stems, and you'll get nice big flowers. This is Sydney and Ross, our last 2. All right. So I was just going to go ahead and make some arrangements, and John, maybe you could help me if anyone has any questions while I'm doing that. So when you're making arrangements, you want to start out with your foliage or your greenery. That gives you structure and helps to hold the flowers in place. So I've used some viburnum here. Does anybody have any questions?
What is that sprig grass?
I'm not sure of the name, but I think it's called zebra grass. But it's really kind of different, and I just look for things that are different and have some interest to them.
Did you enter an arrangement in the show?
No, I didn't. I am going to make the arrangements for the dinner tonight, but those will be smaller so that everyone can see each other and talk. Enjoy.
What type of solution do you use
I really just use clean water. And then this is something I did want to mention too. A lot of times, the old wives' tale was when you're using a woody stem, like a lilac, for example, they used to tell you to smash the stem so that it could take up water. But if you think about it, that makes no sense at all. You are destroying all the cells in that stem. How could it possibly take up water? So what I like to do is I take the stem and I cut it up. And that opens the stem up and then it'll start to drink. If I have a thick stem, I might do it like a cross, go up twice.
What is the greenery you just put in?
This is viburnum. It's actually blue muffin viburnum, but the bird's got all my berries. So all I have is the greenery.
What kind of pruners go through those really thick branches?
I think your Felco, your thick pruners would do it. I have lots of different cutters that I like for different things. Like this is a great one, and it's very thin, and it seems to work on most everything.
Do you use a glycerin solution for any of your leaves?
I don't, but I'm not trying to preserve them in that way. Like with eucalyptus, they don't dry very well just to hang them or leave them in a vase. They tend to shrivel up. So I know you do use the glycerin with that, but I haven't done it yet because it's kind of messy and I haven't really had the need to do it.
But your maple, Japanese maple leaves last for the duration of your arrangement.
They do, with cutting them up the stem.
Yeah.
And I would say to, experiment, try different things. The whole point of my talk today was, I know we always get a lot of great information about varieties or about diseases or soil health, but I wanted to do something that could just help us all to enjoy our dahlias more. I think as competitive growers, we're very focused on disbudding and pruning so that we're hitting that show date. Which I really admire that about you guys. I have a very hard time doing that. So what I do is I just grow more plants. With a florist, they're looking for, say, maybe 100 burgundy dahlias for one weekend. Well, I need a lot of plants for that. Because to have 100 perfect ones on a certain date, I have to have a lot of plants to choose from. We'll do some pinks on this one. And we'll add some of our pods. I love the burgundy.
So are you still growing dahlias?
Yes. Mhm.
And then when you're growing them in a field on a farm,
Yes.
you're not staking them, are you?
No. I mean, staging or staking?
Staking.
Oh, no. What I do is I use Hortonova. It's a plastic netting on a roll. And I use that with stakes, and it becomes a horizontal netting. The flowers can grow right up through it. I grow almost 1,000 dahlias, so that would be a lot of stakes. The important part when you're using Hortonova like that is tension, because as you know, those plants get huge in a short amount of time. So usually I'm doing 2 layers of netting. The great thing about it too is it makes a good grid for planting. Because I grow so many, I grow them 18 inches apart. A lot of times in a garden they recommend 3 feet apart. Well, I need more than that. So with 18 inches apart, each of the squares on the netting is 6 inches. So I can lay it on the ground and I can go, no, no, yes, no, no, yes, and dig all my holes, put in my fertilizer, and then just go ahead and plant them all. Real assembly line type stuff. I wish it was as easy and as quick in the digging up in the fall. I usually tell people, yeah, I grow 1,000 dahlias. That means I have to dig up 1,000 dahlias every fall. But as I said, they're worth it.
And so are you laying the netting right away after you plant it?
Yes, I use the netting for planting, for spacing, and then I'm able to raise the netting as the plants are starting to grow.
And what's your first level?
I'd say it depends on the plants, because some of them are shorter, but I'd say probably 12 inches. And of course then, also with growing so many so close together, the important part is stripping all those bottom leaves. And so I get some good air circulation and keeping the weeds down. I also put straw along the bottoms of all my plants so that keeps them pretty clean and keeps the soil from being splashed up onto the bottoms of the plants, because I think that's where we get a lot of disease too, is that splashing. A lot of diseases are in the soil all the time. So if we can keep our dahlias clean, I think we can prevent a lot of that.
Does that harbor earwigs and stuff like that? Do you have problems with?
I do see earwigs occasionally, but as I said, I spray, so it keeps them down.
So when you're doing, you dig holes or do you dig trenches?
I dig holes. And it makes it easy with that netting, because I can just, no, no, yes, and that's 18 inches apart. They're 6-inch squares.
In the water outside.
What do you like to spray with?
It's by Bayer, and it goes on the end of your hose, and I'm sorry, I should have taken a picture of it. But it handles a lot of different bugs that you find in your yard, except mosquito. But then we have our bug baffler and our fan.
Do you have less problem with weeds because of those problems?
Because of the what? Well, no, lots of weeds still. I'm very intrigued by the no-till method, and that is where you would not till your field, and then when you're done with your crop, you would, not with dahlias, but with other things, you would cut it off at the ground level. You would still leave the roots in because there's all that microbial action going on, and then you would plant right next to the old plant. That way you're not disturbing the microbes and you're not bringing up more weed seeds, because there's billions of weeds in the soil just waiting for that opportunity to get close to the sun so that they can sprout and have a new life cycle. So if we can prevent that by not tilling and also doing things like tarping. I have areas where I had a lot of weeds, so I took black fabric, or not fabric, black plastic, and just laid it over there for 6 weeks with weighted down with bricks. Gets no light, gets no water, and it kills things. A couple inches depth. What you can do then is do a light till just to get the ground smooth, and then wait for the weeds to come back, tarp it again. And after a few years, you'll have a lot less weeds coming up. But it does require planting, and it takes a while. Got some pretty yarrow here.
When you talk about choosing your colors or what's popular, and by the way, we can't grow cafe au lait for love or money. And everybody, I don't know why people love it so much, but it's like, I don't know. But anyway, when you're choosing your colors, just a general question, what's the value of having white dahlias, plain white? Are they popular?
I have resisted planting white dahlias for years, and most white flowers, because they tend to show the brown more quickly. But the florists want white.
They do.
different color, like blush and white has been, blush and burgundy, blush and white are color combinations that have been popular in the last 6-7 years. So I rely on my florists to tell me what they like. But yeah, the cafe au lait, that is sure a must grow. But I find too with the cafe au lait, the show people don't care for it because it's cloud facing and it's flat. But it is perfect for a bridal bouquet for those very same reasons.
So they do sweet corn, and they just got through getting rid of their sweet corn, and now they're planting oats. And so the oats, the winter oats, actually suppress the weeds.
Oh yeah.
And so that's how they keep their weeds down without tilling and doing all the extra spraying, because they have the sweet corn, and they don't
Right.
put any poison in it. So.
Yeah, I think traditional farmers are starting to see the benefits of doing that. They even have equipment now that instead of plowing up the field, it just digs a trench through the plants that are dead and crimped over, just laying over. And they become a natural mulch then. So even equipment manufacturers are starting to create the type of machines needed to do more regenerative farming, which is great to see. When I first got into flower farming, I thought of farming the way I'd seen it on TV. And it is space age, I tell you. The machines they have, the tractors drive over the field and take in so much information. How damp is the soil, the temperature, amazing stuff. To be a farmer, you have to be a scientist too. Yes.
If I understood you correctly, you're saying that you're primarily harvesting snowbush
Working with-
for fall.
I do harvest it in the spring as well, but I find that with woodies, you have to let them get a little bit more mature. If they're not mature enough, they will wilt.
Are you coppicing snowbush or?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're not cutting the whole plant at one time?
I do coppice it in the spring. And that would be because for my uses, I have limited space. Smoke bush can get really large, so can hydrangeas. But because I can coppice them and cut them almost to the ground, each year I can get nice long stems, which are what I'm looking for. I don't want a lot of branches. I want nice long stems, because that's what the florist wants. And I can control the size of the plants too with hydrangeas. If you cut them all the way to the ground, you'll get long stems, you get a ginormous head. So it's finding that sweet spot where maybe I'll cut it hip high, and then I'll get two a little shorter stems, but keep those flower heads a little smaller. There's only so many things you can use a giant hydrangea. It's the same thing with the dahlias too. The giant ones are so impressive, but very difficult to use in an arrangement. Okay, so we'll add some dahlias to this. We've got the cafe au lait. Not the best one, but
Do you find leaving buds on your dahlias, the florist like that?
sometimes they do, and sometimes I get requests for like cafe au lait buds that are partially open. Use it for boutonnieres
Yeah.
or corsages.
No, it's just for texture.
How do you dry the pistillo?
The pussy will, I just put it in a vase and I let the water evaporate. You could also hang them upside down They're very forgiving.
Do you have other woodies that are wood stalks that you harvest in the spring and dry for later?
I would say like your red and yellow twig dogwoods, because in the winter, when it's cold, is when their color is stronger. So you could always harvest those, put them in a vase, let the water evaporate, and use them later in the summer. You know, as just like stick, something vertical. And I've seen where they take pussy willows and they bend it into a heart shape and stick that in the vase. That's really cute too.
So when you go to dry, do you also cut the stem before you put it in the water? Vertically?
Yes. Oops, sorry if I'm cleaning. Like, what's that comedian where they would... yeah, Gallagher. Hit by flying steps.
4 minutes.
Running out of time. So is there any other questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Sear the stems of the dahlias.
I don't. I've tried that before, and I didn't think it really made a big difference. So I don't do that anymore. But I try to sell them like within a day or two. I prefer the ball type arrangement of dahlias because they are more long lasting. And I just love the color of them. And I think that's something too that really grabs people when they're at the farmer's market and they see dahlias, especially the ball type. They're so spherical, you know, they're just so perfect looking. They're mathematical, you know, I mean, they're just, you just want to squeeze them.
What is the silvery?
This is Artemisia. This is Silver King. Afterwards, if you want to come up and sniff it, very fragrant. Oh, and here's another great one. I don't have this on my
So I
list.
noticed you're not using any floral foam.
No. I wanted to show what you could do at home, you know, with a regular vase and flowers and some water. This is a meadow rue, and I like it with the flowers, but I also like it with the buds because it just has that movement to it. It's a meadow rue. This is Beatty, I think is the name of the variety.
Latin name Electra.
That's it. That is it.
What'd she say? What's she?
The Lictrum. I don't know if I pronounce it right.
Suggestions on how to make the bouquet last longer in the vase?
Changing the water more frequently and recutting the stems.
We can change it.
I'd say like every 2 days, and then you could snip those stems again too, because if you look, the stems get all clogged up and mushy. So cut that off and give your nice fresh cells a chance to
Liz? 1 minute, Liz.
Can you recommend a really good peach tall variety? Like for weddings?
I think Linda's Baby is a great one. I also really love Clyde's Choice. Hillcrest Suffusion is another great peach.
What was the second one you said?
Clyde's Choice.
Rose Toscana is
Yes. There's so many. When we talk about the unicorns, you know, I think sometimes we really get caught up in thinking, well, I've got to have Golden Scepter, you know, because I saw it in a magazine. It's so beautiful. There are other varieties that are similar. So if you can't find Golden Scepter, I'm sure there are other ones that would also meet your needs.
Gotta wrap it up, please.
We'll use some 9 bark here.
I have trouble with that dying overnight in a vase.
Are you picking it when it's more mature?
I don't know.
or too young. I find if I pick it too early in the season, it does want to wilt. So I find I have to wait till it's a little stiffer, if that makes sense. And maybe to go with the thinner stem rather than a really thick branchy type of a stem. And that way it can absorb water a little bit more. I love it. I do too. I do too. Very pretty. This is the Little Devil. And you can see it's got smaller leaves.
Does adding sugar to the water help at all?
It does two things. It feeds the flower, and it will make the flower open faster. It also can make it a little stronger color. It also feeds the bacteria. So I find sugar in the water will last less amount of time.
Gotta wrap it up.
Okay. Are there any more questions? I'm supposed to wrap it up and haven't finished one of them.
What was the larger 9-barn? You had Little Devil and then the other one was?
El Diablo. There's also Coppertina, which is another nice one for fall. Little red one.
Ta-da.
So this is the Little Devil, and then this would be the El Diablo. So both the same color, but a little different size on the leaves. And I think that's what makes it great too, is having different textures.
Have you ever tried the dry dahlias?
Have I tried what?
The dry dahlias?
Yes, you can dry dahlias in silica. It does not work to hang them up or to leave them in a vase and let the water evaporate. They just wilt. But you can do it in silica. It takes maybe 4 days. You have to keep checking it. And you're really just going to get the head. You have to cut the stem off so that it can lay flat and you can get the silica all on top. It'd be great for a picture or gluing on a wreath that you would have indoors.
I've actually had a lot of good luck drying dahlias upside down.
Have you?
Yeah, but I live in an environment that's really dry and hot, and if it gets moist, I put on a dehumidifier. But they change their color,
Yeah.
and they change their form a lot, so.
Makes them interesting.
Yeah.
Thank
They
you.
don't turn brown. Some of them do, very rarely though.